Daniel lived alone in a small metal room on the edge of Earth's orbital colony. Every night he sat by the window watching ships slide across the dark sky like silver fish. He worked in a repair shop during the day, fixing other people's machines. No one remembered his birthday, no one waited for him after work, and no one ever called him by name. To him, loneliness had become part of life, as natural as breathing recycled air. He tried to laugh about it. Humor was his shield against the emptiness. So he often joked online on the Galactic network, the place where millions of species shared thoughts, images, and memes. Daniel's jokes were harmless, lighthearted, but that night he wrote something that changed everything. He typed, "Even a black hole has more attraction than me," then smiled to himself. And a few seconds later he added another line. "I bet even alien queens would ignore me. I'm so single I could be a museum exhibit." He pressed send and laughed out loud. The message disappeared into the cosmic web, and Daniel leaned back, feeling proud of his own joke. Outside his window, stars blinked quietly. He had no idea that somewhere across distant galaxies, his joke had reached the wrong ears. Or maybe the right ones. For in 5 different star systems, 5 royal signals blinked in response. Ancient machines that once listened for prophecies began to hum again. And 5 alien queens, each ruling her own world, saw the same message appear in royal translation. To them, it was not a joke, it was a call, a summon, a long-awaited sign of destiny. Queen Seraphina of Lorinth, tall and radiant with silver skin and eyes like twin moons, whispered, "The chosen human calls us." Queen Aelira of the Desert Star tightened her crystal crown, her golden hair glowing in the twin suns. Queen Valrith of the Deep Nebula rose from her throne of glass water and smiled for the first time in centuries. Queen Mira of the Frost Realms spread her wings of frozen light and said, "Prepare the fleet." And Queen Corinne of the Fire Belt clenched her fist, saying, "No other shall reach him first." 5 royal empires moved at once. 5 ships left their worlds, cutting through wormholes like arrows shot by fate. And all of them pointed toward one small human home on a quiet orbital ring. Daniel, unaware of all this, made himself another cup of instant coffee. He looked at the empty chair across his table and sighed. "Guess it's just you and me again," he told the mug. He scrolled through his feed, saw a few likes, and laughed. "At least someone finds me funny." He turned off the lights and fell asleep to the soft hum of the station engines. In his dreams, he heard faint voices, distant music, and felt like someone was calling his name. But when he woke up, he forgot it all. The morning was quiet until the power flickered. Then the air shimmered as if the room itself was breathing. His doorbell rang once, then twice, then 5 times in rhythm. Daniel frowned. Who rings a doorbell in 2309? He opened the door halfway and froze. Standing before him were 5 women unlike any he had ever seen. Their skin shimmered in shades of silver, gold, blue, white, and red. Their eyes glowed softly, filled with intelligence and power. Each wore strange armor that seemed alive, pulsing with light and energy. The tallest one stepped forward, her voice smooth like music. "Human Daniel," she said, "you summoned us, and we have come." Daniel blinked, coffee still in his hand. "Summoned? I didn't summon anyone. I just made a joke online," he stammered. They exchanged glances, some smiling, some frowning. "Your words carried through the cosmic channel of prophecy," said the one with silver hair. "And now fate binds you to us." Daniel laughed nervously. "Right, of course, fate." He looked at them, unsure if he was dreaming. "Let me guess," he said. "You're here to sell me galactic insurance." None of them laughed. The red-haired one stepped closer, her eyes burning bright. "No," she said softly. "We are here because you are ours." Daniel felt his pulse race. Outside, lightning cracked across the orbital sky as if the universe itself had heard her words. And somewhere deep in space, unseen watchers whispered, "The prophecy has awakened." Daniel swallowed hard, realizing this was no joke anymore. Daniel stood frozen at the doorway, unsure if he should run, faint, or ask for autographs. The 5 women before him didn't move, their eyes glowing faintly like living stars. Each one radiated a different kind of energy, power, calm, mystery, and danger. His human brain struggled to process what his eyes were seeing. He whispered, Okay, this is officially the weirdest hangover ever. The tallest queen, with silver-white hair and glowing eyes, stepped closer. I am Seraphina, Queen of Lorinth, she said softly, her voice calm, yet commanding. Her silver robe shimmered like moonlight over water. Your words crossed the veil of prophecy, human, and we have come to fulfill it. Daniel blinked. I just made a joke online. Her gaze didn't waver. The cosmos does not joke, it listens. Before he could reply, another woman moved forward, her skin golden under the artificial lights. I am Elira of the Desert Star, she said, her tone sharp, her eyes fierce. My world burns under twin suns, and our priests said the one without a mate would bring balance. She studied him with amusement. You look softer than I expected. Daniel coughed. Yeah, I get that a lot. The third queen floated slightly above the floor, surrounded by mist that shimmered like liquid glass. I am Valrith, Queen of the Deep Nebula, she said, her voice echoing like the sea. She leaned forward, her long hair moving as if underwater. I have seen your signal in my dreams for centuries, human. Daniel backed away slightly. I think my Wi-Fi's been hacked. The fourth queen's presence made the temperature drop. Frost spread across the metal floor as she stepped closer, her armor made of frozen light. I am Mira, ruler of the Frost Realms, she said, her breath forming clouds in the air. Our ancient scrolls spoke of a man whose laughter could wake the stars, and you have done it. Daniel looked at her with wide eyes. I just laughed at my own joke. Her lips curved into the smallest smile. And that is how destinies begin. The last queen stepped forward, her crimson armor pulsing like molten lava. I am Karin of the Fire Belt, she said, fire glowing faintly in her eyes. Her tone was proud, almost defiant. If fate demands that we share one chosen mate, then I will claim him first. Daniel stumbled back. Claim? Wait, hold on. This is moving really fast. Karin crossed her arms. You called. We answered. The bond is sealed. The five queens turned their gazes toward one another, tension sparking like electricity. Daniel felt trapped in the middle of something much bigger than his lonely apartment. He tried to calm his racing thoughts. So let me get this straight, he said slowly. I post one bad joke, and 5 galactic monarchs appear at my door ready to, what, date me? Elira raised an eyebrow. Not date, unite. Valrith whispered. Our worlds are dying, human, and only the one who carries laughter in his soul can restore the harmony. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, laughing nervously. Yeah, no pressure. Seraphina's eyes softened. You don't understand your importance yet. Outside the window, the sky flickered with colors he had never seen before. 5 royal ships hovered silently above the colony, glowing like living suns. The queen's guards were already descending, armored figures with glowing spears of light. Daniel's heart pounded. Look, I appreciate the cosmic attention, but I'm just a mechanic. Mira tilted her head. Then you shall fix what is broken. Her words carried weight, echoing in the air like prophecy. He took a deep breath, realizing that whatever was happening wouldn't just go away. The queen stepped aside, and Seraphina gestured toward the open sky. Come with us, Daniel. Your destiny is written among the stars. He hesitated, his human fear fighting his curiosity. What if I say no? He asked quietly. Karin's eyes blazed. Then the prophecy will burn, and with it, 5 worlds. Silence filled the room. Daniel looked at the distant ships, their shadows covering half the colony. He swallowed hard and whispered, All right, but I'm not dressing like a space prince. For the first time, all 5 queens smiled together. And at that moment, a new light burst across the galaxy, the mark of destiny awakening. From somewhere deep in the cosmic dark, unseen eyes watched. A low voice whispered, The human has accepted the call. And the universe trembled in anticipation of what was coming next. The metal airlock hissed open, and Daniel stepped inside the royal transport. The floor glowed under his boots. The air smelled like lightning and perfume. 5 alien queens followed behind him, their presence making the small chamber feel like a cathedral. Daniel's heart raced as the door closed, sealing him inside a world that wasn't meant for humans. Outside, through the glass panels, he saw the colony shrinking into a dot as the ship rose. Engines hummed softly, vibrating through his chest. He tried to breathe normally, but every second felt unreal. "I'm really doing this," he muttered. "I'm leaving Earth with 5 women who think I'm some kind of space messiah." Karin smirked. "You make it sound like a punishment, human." Daniel rubbed his face. "It's not punishment, it's just insane." The ship's main corridor stretched endlessly, filled with floating lights and alien script that moved like living art. Servants of many races bowed as the queens passed, their eyes widening when they saw Daniel. He could hear the whispers. "That's him. The chosen human. The one who laughed." Seraphina guided him to a throne room made of crystal and silver, where stars shimmered through transparent walls. "Sit," she said softly, gesturing toward a glowing seat beside hers. Daniel hesitated. "That looks like it costs more than my entire planet." Alira chuckled for the first time. "Then it suits your value." He sat carefully, feeling like a misplaced puzzle piece. Around him, the queens stood in a circle, each projecting a hologram of her world. Deserts, oceans, ice plains, fire realms, and glowing cities filled the air. Seraphina spoke first. "Each of our worlds is dying, Daniel. Our suns are unstable, our people are restless, and our prophecies say a human's laughter will awaken the balance." Daniel frowned. "Balance? What kind of balance?" Valrith answered. "The balance of emotion and logic, creation and decay, life and silence." Her mist-like aura moved gently. "We've grown too proud, too cold, too perfect, and your imperfection might be what saves us." He blinked. "You're saying my loneliness and bad jokes are going to save the galaxy?" Mira nodded slowly. "Exactly that." Before Daniel could laugh again, alarms suddenly echoed through the ship. The floor shook, lights dimmed, and holograms flickered away. Karin drew her sword, fire glowing along its edge. "We're under pursuit." Daniel's chest tightened. "By who?" "Space cops." Alira growled. "Worse, the Dominion." Through the glass, Daniel saw dark ships cutting through the void, their hulls shaped like claws. Red lights pulsed across their surfaces as they fired beams of energy toward the Queen's vessel. Guards shouted orders, shields flared, and the ship jolted sideways. Daniel stumbled, catching Seraphina's arm. "What do they want?" She looked at him with calm fear. "You, Daniel, they want you." His stomach dropped. "Me? I'm not even verified on the network." Karin glared. "They know what you are now, the human who woke the prophecy." The view outside turned chaotic, stars twisting as the ship dove into a wormhole. Daniel felt his body lift from the floor, weightless, as colors spiraled around them. For a moment, everything went silent except the echo of his heartbeat. Then they emerged in another part of the galaxy, surrounded by calm darkness. The alarms faded, replaced by heavy breathing and quiet relief. Alira wiped sweat from her brow. "We lost them, for now." Daniel looked around, trying to make sense of it all. "So, just to recap," he said, voice shaking slightly. "I made a joke about being single, and now I'm wanted by galactic warlords." Seraphina's expression softened. "It seems the universe listens even when we laugh." Valrith floated closer. "Fate has a sense of humor too." He stood, pacing. "This is crazy. I don't even know how to help you." Mira touched his shoulder, her hand cold but gentle. "You already did. Human, you reminded us what warmth feels like." Karin sheathed her blade, her voice calmer now. "You may not see it yet, but your laughter has already started changing the stars." Daniel looked out at the endless sky, the weight of destiny pressing on his chest. "Great," he muttered. "I just wanted a girlfriend, not a galactic revolution." The queens exchanged faint smiles, knowing the journey had only begun. And far away, deep within the Dominion's fortress, a shadowed figure watched a glowing screen showing Daniel's face. "Find him," the figure hissed, "before the prophecy completes." The stars outside shimmered again, whispering like they knew his name. And Daniel realized he wasn't alone anymore. He never would be again. The royal ship drifted silently through a nebula that shimmered like spilled paint across the dark. Daniel sat in the observation dome, staring at the endless color outside, his reflection blending with the stars. He still couldn't believe any of it was real. 5 alien queens, ancient prophecies, galactic empires, and somehow, him in the middle. He took a sip of the strange blue drink the crew had given him. It tasted like cold lightning and sugar. His thoughts were louder than the engines. Seraphina entered quietly, her long silver cloak trailing behind. She sat beside him without speaking, the silence between them almost peaceful. Finally, Daniel said, "You all talk about this prophecy like it's already written, but what if the universe got the wrong human?" She turned to him, her eyes soft like moonlight. "The universe does not make mistakes, Daniel. It chooses hearts that still believe even when they laugh." He looked down, unsure how to answer. "I wasn't believing in anything. I was just lonely." She smiled faintly. "Loneliness is a kind of belief, too. It means you still hope someone will answer." Before Daniel could reply, a holographic projection flared to life around them. 5 planets appeared, each connected by a glowing web of light. Alira's voice echoed through the hall. "We have entered the neutral zone. We can contact our worlds now." The queens gathered, their royal emblems glowing in unison. Each world began to appear. The golden deserts of Alira, the frozen peaks of Mira, the underwater palaces of Valrith, the fiery towers of Corinne, and the crystal spires of Seraphina's Lorinth. Daniel watched in awe. "It's beautiful," he whispered. But then he noticed the light flickering between them, unstable. Valrith frowned. "The connection is fading. His presence affects the link." Daniel blinked. "My presence?" Seraphina nodded. "Your energy is unfamiliar. Human emotion creates interference. Laughter, fear, love, all of it carries resonance." Corinne stepped closer, her fiery aura glowing brighter. "Show us," she said. Daniel hesitated. "Show what?" "Your laughter," she replied simply. The sound that woke the prophecy. He looked around, confused. "You want me to laugh?" "Now." Alira crossed her arms. "Do it, human." Daniel scratched his head, feeling ridiculous, but then chuckled quietly. The sound echoed, warm and human, small yet sincere. And suddenly, the holographic web flared to life again, burning brighter, stronger, the planets stabilizing in perfect harmony. The queen stared in shock as streams of energy aligned, reconnecting the broken systems. Seraphina whispered, "By the stars, his laughter heals the network." Daniel's smile faded slowly. "I didn't do anything. I just laughed." Mira touched the holographic light, her icy hand glowing. "You carry a frequency we have not heard in millennia, the frequency of emotion unfiltered by logic." Corinne grinned. "You might actually be useful after all." Daniel rolled his eyes. "Gee, thanks." The ship trembled suddenly, alarms blaring again. This time it wasn't an attack. It was the fabric of space itself reacting. The hologram twisted, and a new image appeared, a dark shape like a hand closing over the stars. Valritha's expression turned grave. "The Dominion has traced us again." Seraphina's voice turned sharp. "They shouldn't have been able to follow through the neutral zone." Alira growled. "Unless someone aboard is feeding them coordinates." The guards moved quickly, scanning systems and crew. Daniel felt his heart pounding. "You think there's a spy?" Corinne nodded. "The Dominion thrives on betrayal. They plant seeds in every shadow." Mira's cold eyes turned toward Daniel. "And perhaps one seed hides in human form." He froze. "Wait, you think I'm the leak?" Silence filled the chamber, heavy and sharp. Seraphina stepped between them, her voice calm but firm. "No, the prophecy would not bind a traitor." She looked at Daniel, her tone gentler now. "But we must be careful. The Dominion knows who you are." The ship dived into another wormhole, lights flashing as the stars bent again. Daniel gripped the rail, his mind spinning faster than the engines. He thought of home, of Earth, of the simple life he'd lost overnight. And somewhere deep in his chest, a strange warmth began to grow. Not fear, not confusion, but something that felt like purpose. He whispered to himself, "If they believe in me, maybe I should start believing too." Far beyond their ship, in the dark citadel of the Dominion, the shadowed figure watched another screen. Daniel's laughter echoed faintly through the speakers, causing cracks of light to spread across the black walls. A distorted voice growled, "So the human has awakened the resonance, then let the game begin." The universe held its breath, and Daniel's laughter continued to echo, reshaping the destiny of stars. The ship glided silently through the shadowed lanes of deep space, hidden between the waves of gravity where no scanners reached. Daniel stood inside the training chamber, surrounded by glowing patterns of light and energy. 5 alien queens watched him closely, their eyes fixed on the strange human who had changed their fates. Seraphina raised her hand, her silver bracelet shining. Focus on your breath. Daniel, the laughter within you is not just sound, it is energy. He nodded, trying to mimic her calm. Right? Breathe. Laugh. Save the universe. Easy. Alira smirked. Do not mock the process, human. Your humor burns brighter than you think. He exhaled slowly, closing his eyes, remembering the nights he spent alone, the jokes he told to make silence softer. A faint vibration filled the room, a pulse of warmth spreading through the floor. Valritha's eyes widened. He's resonating again. The frequency is rising. Daniel's body began to glow faintly, surrounded by threads of blue and gold light. He laughed nervously. Is this normal? Mira's cold voice answered. Nothing about you is normal, human, and that may be your greatest strength. Karin crossed her arms. He channels emotion without control, like a storm without a map. Seraphina smiled gently. Then we shall teach him to steer the storm. Each queen stepped forward in turn, her energy blending with his. Alira taught him to use confidence as a weapon. Valrith guided him to listen to emotion like music. Mira taught him stillness, the power of calm in chaos. Karin trained his instincts through fire and challenge. And Seraphina showed him compassion, how laughter and love carried the same energy if one believed deeply enough. Days passed aboard the ship, time stretching in the rhythm of stars. Daniel began to feel something shift within him. The emptiness he once carried began to fill with light, not because he was special, but because he was seen. The queen started to notice too. His presence stabilized systems that had been unstable for centuries. His jokes no longer caused glitches, they caused harmony. He didn't know it, but every laugh sent ripples through space, reshaping fragments of reality. But peace never lasts long in a galaxy that fears change. A transmission cut through the silence, filled with static and a deep, distorted voice. It said only one word, human. Every queen turned sharply, their eyes narrowing. Karin clenched her fists. It's him. Daniel looked confused. Who's him? Seraphina's expression darkened. The one who commands the Dominion. The image on the screen cleared, revealing a tall figure cloaked in darkness. A scarred face, human, but older, sharper, filled with hatred. Daniel's breath caught. He's human. The man smiled coldly. Finally, another of our kind. It's been a long time since Earth burned. Daniel froze. Earth didn't burn, it's fine. The man interrupted. Not your Earth. Boy, ours, the first colony, forgotten by your kind, abandoned to die. The queens exchanged shocked glances as the man continued. They left us to rot in the void, and I rebuilt humanity in fire and shadow. We are the Dominion now. Daniel felt his heart pounding. You're saying humans started this war? The man's voice echoed. Not humans, me, and now I will finish what the stars began. The signal cut, leaving silence heavy in the room. Seraphina looked pale. A fallen human created the Dominion. Mira whispered. And now he hunts his own kind. Daniel sat down slowly, his mind spinning. So I'm fighting us. Alira placed a hand on his shoulder. You fight what humanity became when it forgot to feel. Valrith added softly. You are not like him. Daniel, your laughter is light, his is ashes. He stood again, determination burning quietly in his eyes. I started this with a joke, he said, voice steady. But I'm not going to end it with silence. Karin smirked proudly. That's the spirit, human. Seraphina nodded. Then prepare yourself. The stars are listening, and the Dominion is coming. Outside, the darkness of space rippled as the Dominion fleet moved like a storm toward them. And deep within that black sea of ships, the fallen human smiled, whispering, let the chosen one laugh one last time. The prophecies' fire had been lit. And Daniel, the man who once laughed alone, was now the voice that echoed across galaxies. The stars flickered red as the Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace. Hundreds of ships shaped like claws and fangs surrounded the Queen's vessel. The silence before battle was heavy, filled with the hum of charging cannons and the sound of distant thunder in space. Daniel stood on the command deck beside the 5 queens, his reflection glowing faintly in the glass. He felt small, but not afraid anymore. Seraphina looked at him with calm determination. "They will not stop until you are captured, Daniel." He nodded slowly. "Then let's make sure they regret trying." Karin grinned, flames swirling around her armor. "That's more like it, human." Alira drew her blade of golden light. "Let the desert winds answer our call." Valrith floated silently, her voice soft like the ocean. "The stars will sing tonight." And Mira, the Frost Queen, spread her crystal wings, her eyes glowing like the heart of winter. "Then let them freeze in their arrogance." The Dominion flagship sent a message, the fallen human's face filling the screen. "So, this is the galaxy's savior," he sneered. "A fool who laughs while the universe burns." Daniel met his gaze, his voice steady. "You burned it yourself. Now I'll make the stars remember what humanity really means." The man smirked coldly. "Then come, comedian of fate. Let us see whose laughter lasts longer." The battle began. Light exploded across the void. Beams of plasma, waves of fire, storms of ice, and energy tore through the stars. The queens moved in perfect coordination, their powers merging like colors in motion. Daniel stood in the center of the storm, eyes closed, feeling the pulse of their hearts. He remembered what Seraphina said, that emotion itself was power. He breathed deeply, his chest filling with warmth. He thought of his lonely nights, of his jokes that no one heard. And then he laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a weak one, but a deep, full laugh that came from somewhere beyond fear. The sound spread through the ship like a wave, shaking the air. It wasn't just sound anymore. It was energy, pure and bright. The queens gasped as the light around him expanded, forming a sphere that rippled outward. Every Dominion beam that touched it shattered like glass. Seraphina whispered, "He's creating a resonance shield." Valrith added, "No, it's more than that. He's rewriting the vibration of reality itself." Outside, the Dominion ships began to lose control, their systems flickering. The laughter carried through the void, distorting enemy signals, disabling weapons. It wasn't chaos. It was harmony, spreading through darkness like dawn. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion soldiers heard something they didn't understand. Hope. Karin's fire grew stronger beside him. Mira's frost turned sharper, Alira's storms brighter. Their powers synced with Daniel's rhythm. Together, their energies formed a pulse that pushed the Dominion fleet back. The Queen's voices joined his laughter, each note resonating across space like music. 5 empires, 1 human, 1 sound that shook eternity. The fallen human shouted through the comms, his face twisted with rage. "Enough! You think laughter can defeat me?" Daniel's voice echoed back, calm but powerful. "It already has." He raised his hand, and the resonance pulsed outward again. The Dominion flagship's shield shattered, its lights dimming like dying embers. Inside the chaos, Daniel could feel the power tearing through him. His vision blurred, his heartbeat thundered like a drum. Seraphina reached for him. "Daniel, stop, your body can't handle it." He smiled weakly. "Then it's a good thing I've never been good at stopping." A final burst of laughter erupted from him, brighter than any star. The Dominion fleet scattered, their engines failing, their weapons silenced. Silence fell again, deep and endless. Only Daniel's soft breathing remained. The queens surrounded him, light fading from their eyes as the battle ended. Mira touched his cheek. "You did it, human." Alira bowed slightly. "Your heart speaks louder than any weapon." Karin crossed her arms, hiding a small smile. "Not bad for a fool." Seraphina whispered, "He has changed the song of the universe." Daniel looked out at the broken fleet. Guess laughter really is contagious. But as the lights flickered, Valrith turned toward the fading hologram of the Dominion's flagship. The fallen human was gone, his last words echoing faintly through static. "This is not the end, little brother." Daniel froze, his pulse stopping for a second. "Brother." The queens exchanged uneasy looks as realization dawned. The human who led the Dominion shared Daniel's DNA. And somewhere in the vast darkness, that truth waited to be revealed. The battlefield drifted in silence, broken ships glowing like dying stars. Daniel stood at the edge of the observation deck, his reflection lost among the drifting metal. The 5 queens surrounded him, their crowns dim, their power drained but alive. The war had paused, yet the words still echoed inside his head. Little brother. He could still hear the voice of the fallen human, cold, bitter, ancient. He felt the truth pressing on his chest like a mountain. Seraphina placed a hand on his shoulder. You knew him? Daniel shook his head slowly. No, but I felt it, like a memory trying to wake up. Valrith floated closer, her voice soft. Perhaps the bond goes beyond blood, perhaps it is soul. The queens gathered around the glowing console as fragments of data appeared. Mira read the translation of old Earth records, the screen flickering with static. Project Dawn, she whispered, 2 genetic prototypes sent into space after the fall of the first colony. Alira's eyes widened. One became light, the other fell into shadow. Karin clenched her fist. He was created from the same seed as you, Daniel. He stared at the screen, his heartbeat echoing like thunder. He's my twin. The room went silent. Seraphina's eyes filled with sorrow. 2 sides of humanity split across the stars. Daniel looked out at the debris field. And we both became what the universe reflected back. He was forgotten. I was found. He turned to them, determination lighting his face. If he's still out there, I have to stop him. Moments later, the ship's scanners detected a faint signal beyond the nebula. A hidden Dominion stronghold cloaked within the storm. The queens prepared their remaining forces, engines roaring back to life. Seraphina said quietly, "This will end tonight." As they entered the storm, the stars vanished, replaced by swirling energy that whispered with voices of the past. The Dominion fortress appeared like a wound in space, black towers rising from nothingness. Daniel felt the pull, familiar, magnetic, painful. The ship landed on a dark platform, the air crackling with cold energy. Inside the fortress, the fallen human waited, tall and scarred, wearing a cloak made of light and shadow. "So you came," he said, his voice echoing across the hall. Daniel stepped forward. "I didn't come to fight. I came to understand." The man laughed bitterly. "Understand? They left us. Daniel, they left humanity to die, and I became their vengeance." Daniel shook his head. "No, you became their echo. I became their hope." Lightning flashed as their eyes met. 2 reflections of the same soul, one burning, one healing. The air trembled as energy built between them, their shared DNA reacting. The queens raised shields, the floor cracked, and stars appeared through the ceiling as power spiraled upward. Seraphina shouted, "Daniel, your laughter. It's the key." He closed his eyes, his chest heavy. "I don't want to destroy him." Valritha's voice whispered, "Then save him." He took a deep breath and smiled faintly. For the first time, he laughed not at loneliness, not at fear, but at love. Pure, human, eternal. The sound spread through the fortress, soft yet unstoppable. The black walls began to glow, the shadows fading into light. The fallen human screamed, "Stop. It hurts." Daniel's voice trembled. "It's not pain. It's warmth, something you forgot." The laughter wrapped around his brother like sunlight. The armor cracked, the hatred melted, revealing tired eyes beneath. He fell to his knees, whispering, "I only wanted to be seen." Daniel reached out and pulled him close. "Then look, you were never alone." The fortress began to collapse, its dark power dissolving into stardust. The queens shielded them as the storm turned golden. Valrith cried out, "The resonance is stabilizing." Seraphina smiled through tears. "The prophecy is complete." When the light faded, the Dominion fleet was gone, its ships silent, their weapons cold. Peace returned to the galaxy like dawn after endless night. Daniel stood among the queens, his brother beside him, weak but alive. Karin smirked. "You humans are impossible." Alira nodded. "And somehow wonderful." Daniel looked up at the stars, his reflection shimmering in Seraphina's silver eyes. "I used to laugh because I was empty," he said softly. "Now I laugh because I'm full." Seraphina smiled. "And the universe laughs with you." He chuckled quietly, the sound echoing through the ship as they rose into the light. 5 queens, 1 human, 1 galaxy reborn. And somewhere far beyond the stars, the cosmos itself smiled. Because once upon a time, a lonely man made a joke, and the universe decided to answer.